After I posted my last ramblings, I thought I should get back into explaining something from a particular position, observation mode. And the observation mode that I always talk about on my channel is how to observe everything all at the same time without becoming tangled up in it. It takes some internal skills to do that, and most of you that have been following my lectures and no, I'm not punting it, have been able to do that. You've been applying that, and it's a particular skill that requires the consciousness and the awareness of the middle path. No, the middle path doesn't mean that you're standing on the fence or that you are um, allowing yourself to be letting the wind blow you from one end to the other end. That's not that at all. I used to speak about the middle path or the center path or the point of the heart and the internal guidance that once you're able to allow yourself to be in full alignment with you, then you are able to present or be able to explore what is being presented at all times from this reality, from this realm. And what I've found that I want to share with you is that it is there are certain belief systems that are tied into the way that people observe things. When they observe their reality to be flat earth or a flat plane or a bowl or whatever, torus, whatever, each one, or spheric even, each one represents each viewpoint. It becomes a belief system in which ideologies and observations and elements become accustomed to that specific viewpoint. And the way you can explore that is, I know that predominantly it almost defaults for people that observe the flat earth theory, although many have proven that it is supposedly flat. I'm not going to contest or critique on any of these views itself, but I'm critiquing on the belief systems that come with it. It doesn't matter what you are observing. It doesn't matter whether you're seeing everything in any particular form. And so a spheric reality or sphere or a planet or a circular sphere, planets, the observation becomes one that is based on dualism or duality. And the word duality is just only to see two sides of the same coin, because once the image or the projection of the image is in the mindset, you're able to explore things in a much more circumference, and you see all the angles or all the parts that are visible and not visible. So when I say duality, I'm not throwing in a new age comment or a new age idea out. I'm using the word duality in terms of how you see and how you look at things. It'll always be either good or bad, or good versus evil. And I've seen this from time to time, even in the awareness with religions, which is also related to that specific viewpoint, that reality. And that is how people key into the belief systems that are allocated to that specific belief system itself. I've also observed and seen that people who believe in the toroidal shape for the reality, that there's a lot of focus on quantum this or quantum that, or quantification that, or quantum dynamics this, or whatever the case may be. And sadly enough, a toroidal shape or a donut really is the hole in the middle. And what do you have in the middle? Anyway, that's part of that, but that's mostly where some more refined or more viewpoints are being formed. And then when you look at the flat plane or the flat earth, theory itself, and this may be another thing to consider, is most people then become aware that they want to disconnect from uh, an idea that there is a higher form that is benevolent or malevolent. And once there's a disconnection in that, then it becomes Gnostic or Gnosticism related, where the belief was very much that there was a demiurge and that the demiurge is out to destroy everyone and that the world is evil. Totally. Everything is evil. And that there's no chance for anything of seeing any goodness in any people, or you don't encounter good people on your way. And the belief in that is also very strong. And so, again, like I said, I'm not going into the reasons why people believe in the things that they do, because people are on their own journeys. And I've always said that the journey is towards the self. It always is. And once you enter that path, as a good friend of mine has told me yesterday, and he's mentioned the same thing that I come to every time. Whenever I think of things, I always get to that point where we're able to enter into a position of awareness, and we are able to encounter good people. You will encounter evil people, you will encounter bad people, you will encounter the dark magicians that are sitting on the outside rim watching everything and trying to do their thing as well, because they looking for power as well. And when you focus on this specific process, let me explain myself. When I look at things and I'm able to recognize good things in people, and that there are some good things, like you're able to achieve simpler connection to a greater benevolent presence, all present and visible within the people that you find on your way, the good people. And sometimes the good people may have some parts to them that are not so digestible, but it is, they don't come and want to destroy you. They come to share with you their happiness or whatever it is. And you may encounter them. And so when you encounter these people, and there are more of them, may I tell you, then there are those that are evil, pure evil. I mean, we are all aware of those evil mongers that are sitting on the outside within their little golden palaces, and they are conspiring to destroy every human being and living organism in this reality. But aside from the obvious elephant in the room, I want to say that I know that there are good people, and many of you I've met and I've connected with you. And I'm talking about those that have passed on as well, that have been there before you. We have all encountered those as well. And so, what I want to bring across is really the focus is what determines your experience, your reality, your belief systems, and your ideologies. Whether they are whatever they are, there is simply no judgment from my end to you in what you believe and what you explore. And another friend has also reminded me of the same thing, which is coincidentally, but I don't believe in coincidences, came to me twice, for me to be able to then access that connection with that thought again on my own much later in the day yesterday. And so what I'm trying to make clear is that it really is what you perceive things to be. I've managed to, like I said in my last ramblings, experience, I think I was fortunate to be able to experience the ability to see what I've done and how far I've come, be it under the circumstances of actually leaving the body in a very disturbed manner, but whatever the case may be, the fact is, and I'm referring to near death or death experience, or temporary death. I've always wondered why they call it near death experience. When you physically do die and you exit your body, why is it near death? Why not just call it the temporary death experience? Because that's what it was. I think that is part of that was a something for me to learn from, which is why I've been able to share the information that I have been with many of you for many years. And so when you encounter that place where you are able to observe everything from the outside in, as in everything, and when I say I saw everything, I really saw that the universe itself is, like I always said, in the shape of a giant egg, or a very rough written letter D. And I could see the layers, like I've always said, that it looks like a layered cake with all of these, or layered egg with the smaller point at the top, as opposed to the fat point at the top, like John Dee has presented in his mirror of what he was trying to give to the British Empire at the time, so that they could rule the world. Because that's why he did that. He formulated a magical spell for that particular process to happen. And because he sought favor from the Queen. And you can see it in his book. He writes it in the Monas Hieroglyphica book. In the first page of the book, he's extremely denigrating him, denigrating himself, degrading himself to such a low level that he's like behaving as if he's like sucking up. Let me just call it out what it is. He's sucking up major to them, because I think maybe he was afraid, irrespective. And so we also then look at how information has been broadcasted by people, broadcasted by magical rituals. And we also realize that, as I've said before, and I'll say it perhaps a little bit more clearer today, that the questions that come up about where's the payment for bad behavior? There's reward for bad behavior. That's become obvious to us. But what if that is really part of the whole process in how to overshadow your consciousness? I've always said that being here is a war on consciousness. It's a not a comfortable place to be in this reality. It's a nasty place, but it's also got good people in it, and it's got evil people in it as well. So where is the payback for bad behavior? Where's the payback for the guy that's just gone into a farmstead in South Africa and destroyed the entire family? Where's the payback for that creature, for that parasite, to have been able to accomplish that? So I may be able to explain to you, while I'm on this trend, I may be able to explain to you that the elites, not the elites, when I refer to the elites, I'm giving them a collective dark magical magicians or ministry of magic, that they essentially have been altering their life purpose. And this is from, and there's something else I want to share with you as well, is from a person on a channel called Sanity Machine, where he refers to where he's actually asking very good questions on why karma does not exist. And the points are extremely valid, which is why I have been connecting with some of his work as well over some time. And it's always good to listen to everyone's opinion and then to formulate your own, which is what we do here. Even though You can read you can read as 100 books and listen to 100 people give 100 different versions of the information. It would be interesting. It would be important for you to actually also then discern within your consciousness yourself. Then that while you're observing all the aspects that are presented to you, and the karmic thing has come up in one of his videos, and I'll link his video underneath so that you can listen to what he says about karma. And then I want to also explain why I want to add to what he says. He says karma does not exist if you're meant to learn from your deeds. Why then are you, when you come back, why is your memory completely wiped clean, and why are you unable to recall your bad deeds or your past deeds? Then that, therefore, logically, karma does not exist. I can understand that and I can agree with that because he has a good point. However, I want to add on and just give my own opinion here as well, that I'm thinking that the memory wipe thing is possibly a thing that has to do with either belief systems before the time or after the time or during the time, certain belief systems that we may have been put ourselves into. But not just that, I'm feeling that information has a lot to do with what the elites are doing. Okay, so I want to bring in the elites in this aspect. I know that the elites use their riches and their magical experiences as, let's say, a giant spell in which they have woven, because they have that much power already that they've claimed, because they've never forgotten, they've always remembered. I know that if I explain it in a little bit more detail, that you'll understand what I mean when I say that they don't go anywhere. When they die, they simply wait, or they are being put into some sort of container so that they wait for a baby to be born in their family so that they can go back into that, they can take over that body. So what I want to say is that the elites do not get any punishment, and they don't uh, get any karmic uh, judgment, none of that, because they don't go anywhere. They stay exactly in their realm of where they exist within. Like that old, what's it, John D. Rockefeller, that died when he was 101 years old. And then what they must have done, I'm just telling you the technique. What they've done is they've taken his soul and put it into a stone or a box or a thing inside the house, and they waited for a child to be born, because then they can throw that soul back into that new body, that new vessel, like a walk-in, but without whatever else could be, because essentially that's how you can override karma. You don't have to then become affected by any karmic issues. You don't get any judgment at you. You don't even get bad luck, because you just keep going on the same trend. Like I said, when you do that, you override the memory wipe. And that is another thing that we are still exploring, essentially. And that is how they are able to circumvent any bad judgment against them, or anything that they can be affected by, or any illnesses, or any negativity, or any bad luck, let's just call it like that. And they can really just live comfortably as they continue to do what they do. If you have a lot of memory of the past and all the past lives that you've got, you're able to do a lot of things that not everybody else can do. You also achieve some form of mystic ability to then do other things. And I happen to know that it is possible for souls to be taken out of some one thing and put into another thing to transfer them into that. And so I'm basically pondering on that as well. And why is it that that people generally, general populace experiences, um, the some that are extremely aware, like some of us that are extremely aware. Why is it that some people don't have a memory of certain things that have happened? That is still something to explore. I'm not saying that we can say that it's resolved, but I do believe that and I say, when I say believe, I'm saying this very strongly, that the initial issue with when people do those things, like what those families do, that they are able to influence and affect the natural system, or the system that is functioning within this reality, the thing that holds the trees rooted into the ground, those things, the the field of infinite potential, which is a sandbox for people to play in. And I find that the process is, it is possible to influence the system the way it is. This is why I said to you, this is why I've said I've discovered, not discovered, but I've always known, and there are others like myself that have always known this to be the system overlay. And some of us have been aware of it for some time. In fact, the interesting thing is I felt it always started around, or became much more amplified straight after the French Revolution, to be honest with you. That's where it started. I felt that it gave me a time span of around that age where it started to come through. And so my whole premise that I'm trying to present to you is that we need to look deeper into everything that we know, but always be mindful that we are able to be in a balanced space as we have always been, specifically the members of this channel. Um, you have been working very diligently to keep that state of mind, or that consciousness in the right place in your thoughts, and that we are continuing from here onwards, exploring and seeing how things are. We are trying to shatter the system overlay, but we have to do it in a specific way. And how we are doing it is basically trying to make sure that we are working on ourselves. It doesn't mean that I'm saying microcosm for the macrocosm either. I'm not bringing that up at all. I'm saying when you look after yourself, because we have to all look after ourselves, so that when we are able to pass one day, that we're able to perhaps go through all of the realms, the realities or the layers that are placed above us, and really either go home or do what you need to do. It's your choice, your absolute choice into deciding where you're going.